record and go live there. Okay. Hello. All right. We are live. So welcome to part 3 of a 3-part webinar series about the CEWS 75% wage subsidy, as it is commonly called. So we are now on part 3, which is how to apply for the CEWS 75% wage subsidy. And this is the last video in the series, and it will likely be quite short. Part 1 and 2 are a lot longer, but the reason that I split it into 3 parts was so that you could just skip to the section that is going to be applicable to you. So if you want to start at the beginning, then go to part 1, how to qualify for CEWS 75% wage subsidy and frequently asked questions. So that's going to be a general overview and how to determine your revenue basis, and I give an example, and I go through in QuickBooks Online as well how to look up the report that you need, the profit and loss report, to determine if you qualify on the revenue basis, as well as a whole bunch of frequently asked questions. So start there, but if you're already at the point where you have determined that you do qualify, you meet the revenue reduction, and you've already done that, then you can skip straight to part 2, which is how to calculate the CEWS 75% wage subsidy using the CRA spreadsheet. There are other versions of spreadsheets out there, but I wanted to use the CRA sheet because I think for most people who are going to be small business owners and possibly other bookkeepers and accountants who would be using this video, they're likely going to use the one that's provided by CRA. And a lot of other people are doing webinars about this, and there is other information, which is great. But what I had not seen yet was anyone who did an example of how to actually calculate the amounts that are going to go in that CRA sheet and then how to enter them in the CRA sheet. So that is what I did in part 2. I also discussed the different pay periods, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly, because the pay period that you use is going to affect those calculations. And that's the part that's kind of tricky about it. So go and watch part 2, even if you are not sure about your calculations and you'd like to confirm it. Go and watch part 2. And then now we will be doing part 3, which is you've already filled in the sheet and calculated everything and you know that you qualify. And now you just want to know, how do I submit my application? So that is where we are now. A quick disclaimer. So I just want to put this at the beginning of each of these video segments. This video is not endorsed by CRA. It's not produced by CRA. My name is Alicia Lowen, and I am the owner of an accounting firm in Canada. My company is called Decimal Accounting, Inc. So I'm primarily producing this webinar for people who are small business owners in Canada, including my own clients, but I'm making it public because I already spent hours and hours in the last couple of weeks trying to figure out and interpret the legislation and watch other people's videos. And so now I've come up with what I believe is the best and simplest method to use. And I figured I might as well put that out there as my free gift to you to share this advice if you are a bookkeeper, accountant, or a business owner in Canada who is trying to figure this out on your own. That being said, I am still running a business myself. That's primarily where my focus and energy is going to be, is for the people who are my clients. So if you have a question and you want to leave a comment on this video, I will try my best to respond. But there has been a lot of people coming to me now for advice, and realistically, I just can't answer a whole bunch of private messages from people asking about their specific scenario. So don't send me a PM. If you want to leave a comment on the video, then that's great. Either myself or perhaps someone else watching it could start a discussion about that. Okay, so we are going to do how to apply. So there are 3 ways to apply. That's what I've got this page open here. So the 3 ways are either yourself through CRA My Business Account. And so this page you can find just by, if you Google search CRA My Business Account, you'll get to this sign-in page, which currently has this banner here. And then there's different ways to sign in. And so I just tested this myself before I started this live video because I wanted to see what the difference was. So if you have not registered for CRA My Business Account previously, you can use this option 1, sign-in partners, which is essentially, if you use one of these banks, then you can do the sign-in using your bank login information, and that's how they're confirming your identity. But there was a few other questions as well, and so I did it off screen, and I'm glad that I did before I started the live video, because it also asked for my social insurance number, my birth date, my postal code, and that's confidential information, so I didn't want to put that on the video, but I'll tell you what they are going to ask. So if you choose this option 1, what's going to happen here is you say, click the sign-in partner, and this will work as long as you're using one of these banks. Just gotta move my video. Okay, so if you have a business banking login with one of these, then that will work. And so mine is RBC, and so I went through here, and then after I put in my bank account number and my password, then the next screen asked me for my social insurance number. So make sure you have this information on hand if you're going to be applying for it. Social insurance number, my postal code, my date of birth, and then a line from my personal tax return. So my T1 General 2019, it said, line number, whatever, what was that dollar value amount? And I had to put in that. So also have a copy of your T1 General 2019 in front of you when you do this. So once I've gotten through all those security steps, then it says to me, we will send you an access code in the mail, and you need to have the access code entered the next time you sign in before you will be able to fill in the CEWS application, because they probably knew that that's what I was there for, was to fill in the CEWS application for wage subsidy. And that's what I was testing. I was trying to see if it would let me do it. So that would be what you can do. So if you have never registered for My Business Account through CRA previously, that is how you could now register. So you're going to go through this first step, and then you're going to have to wait for the access code to come to you in the mail. And then when you get that access code in the mail, you're going to sign in again, doing the same method. I think the same method, yeah, because you wouldn't have a user ID and password. So yeah, you'd have to use the same method, and then it will ask you for the access code. And then you have full access to CRA My Business Account. In there, you can update your direct deposit. So you'd use your business bank account for your direct deposit information, so that when you get the wage subsidy, it will come to you by direct deposit rather than a check in the mail. And I would recommend that you do that. And it's only going to take a little bit of extra time. And I think getting direct deposit is going to be faster than not having that information and then waiting for a check to come in the mail. And so if you have been using CRA My Business Account previously, then you should already have a CRA user ID and password. So then you would do option 2. So don't do this option 1 with the banking stuff. If you've already used it before, you just go straight to this option 2, which is going to be a login where it'll just ask you for your user ID and password. So that's the first way to do it, is for you to fill in through My Business Account. And I am going to go through an example on screen as well. I just want to show you the 3 methods first. So the second way to do it is to use web forms. So CRA web forms is a different site, and it's a different like integration, different portal than My Business Account. So if you don't have My Business Account, you can use web forms. But I think if you do web forms, you're not going to be able to enter your direct deposit info. If your direct deposit info was already on your business account from previously, like if you've been getting your GST, if you had a refund of that and you got that, or if you overpaid your corporate tax account and then you got a refund, if that's already been coming to you by direct deposit, then you should be fine. But if you think that you don't want to use My Business Account, or you don't want to wait for that access code, you could do web forms instead. So with the web forms, this is the same way that some business owners and some bookkeepers and accountants will file slips electronically. You can file T4 slips this way, but you need a web access code to be able to do that. The web access code that you use to file T4 slips is the same web access code that you will now use for the CEWS application. So there is a step here. If you don't have a web access code, you can, I think you have to call in though. Let's see what happens when I click that. Chosen to obtain it online. I know I have called in the past, and you just have to sit on the hold for a while. I think you might actually be able to do it this way. If you just follow these steps, I just clicked on need a web access code. And most likely it's going to ask you for like a line number from your 2018 T4 summary or something like that. But if you normally file T4 slips this way through web forms, then you should have that access code from the last time that you filed T4s. Hopefully you saved it somewhere, and then now you can use it again. So let's see what happens if I wanted to do my CEWS application through here. Okay, I'm just going to say I agree to that. Okay, I'm not going to be able to continue because I don't have a web access code for my own business number. I'm going to use my own business number as the example here. But that's what you would do. This is going to be your RP account number. So it'll be your payroll account number. So it's your 9-digit business number. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then RP 0001. That's your payroll account number. Sometimes people have more than one, and they'll have 0002 as well. Pardon me. But not usually. Usually they just have RP 0001. And then you'd have your web access code there. Okay, so that's web forms, which is number 2. And they're all going to bring you to the same place, I'm pretty sure. So the third one I'm going to show you. Shoot. It's okay. It just timed out. And I was hoping I could just have it ready. So accountants and bookkeepers who have already been authorized online on your account. Oh, shoot. I should do this off screen. How can I do this? Stop my screen share. I don't want you guys to see my, where's my Facebook? I don't want you guys to see my security question. That wouldn't be very good to post that on YouTube. Where's my live video? Oh yeah, I'm still here. Okay, but how do I stop? Sorry. Usually I just leave it running the full time. Where's that Facebook one? I'm recording this. Oh, here it is. Facebook is sharing your screen. Stop sharing. Are we good? Oh, shit. Video has ended. And I'm still recording on Zoom. Okay, I'm not going to stop my Zoom recording. I've stopped sharing my screen on Zoom. I'm going to put my security question in. And then I'll bring it back live on Facebook. Sorry. If you're watching this, I apologize. I just don't want to put my banking security questions out there for the world to see. Okay, and then now I need to put my business number in, which I'm going to do that as well, confidentially here. And I don't have it memorized, but I just need to look on my desktop. Come on, sleepy computer. I have my I know my camera's still recording me. I have my laptop here, and then I have my desktop computer over here. And so what I need to do, there it is. Okay, I got my business number for my payroll account because this is how I can access it before I share. Okay, before I share my screen. Okay, now I'm ready to share my screen. And I better bring that Facebook Live back. Okay. Live camera. Share my screen in Facebook. Okay, I better give this a name. Okay, Zoom can go back to screen share. Okay, so Zoom is on screen share. Zoom is still recording. Here is my Facebook. Got like a inception window happening here. And this is still part, oh, can I not type? Part 3.5, let's call it. How to, oh geez, too many capitals. How to apply for, what are we doing here today? The CEWS, 75% wage. Whoops, that's not good. Don't want typos in there. Okay, we're back with live on Facebook. I meant to just stop my screen share, but I accidentally stopped the entire live video. So at the same time, I am still recording this in Zoom. So I do have the full recording, although that section was not very interesting. It was just me putting in my security question because I did not want to show that on screen. But now it should be ready. So I've got Facebook is sharing my screen, Zoom is sharing my screen, and my recording is still going. So I was right here. Okay, and now you can see my screen. Okay, that's all I was trying to do. So when this is how it looks like to me when I sign in as an accountant through my accountant access. So I can get to my client accounts this way. And I've set up Decimal Accounting as my client just so that I can get to stuff all from the same login. But for yourself, this would be how it looks when you are signed in through CRA My Business Account, not web forms. I think web forms, it's going to look slightly different than this, but you'll still get to the same place eventually. So I want to walk through the application itself. And so it's got this banner here for me, which is just talking about the wage subsidy. It can be accessed through the payroll activity menu, which is just below GST. I love it when they put little flags on things. That's nice. Helps my tired eyeballs at the end of the day. Okay, so we're gonna go here and You must be an eligible employer, so go ahead and read through the stuff about eligible employers. So you're making sure that you first qualify before you go through and do the calculations. And then you're choosing your period. So that's the first period. Okay, so now we have actual spots to fill in. I haven't looked at this before, so forgive me for doing this live and unrehearsed. But there's no point in rehearsing, right? Might as well just figure it out as we go. So I have in part 2, I filled in the CRA spreadsheet with weekly amounts. So if you missed that, go and watch part 2. And this is not real people. I've just used a fake scenario here. So I'm not going to actually be submitting this today, but I want to get as far as possible so that you can be prepared to do it yourself. So on this wage subsidy tab that's called Instructions and Results, it's got these amounts here. And I know that we're going to need those totals on the application page. So let's see. Line A, number of eligible employees. All right, so that's going to come from my sheet here. Total number of eligible employees is 5. Okay. Total eligible remuneration paid. So that is this amount. Let's see if I can copy it. Don't want to mess with their formula. I don't think I can copy it. 17,607.68. So that's like my gross wages paid. Did you retroactively hire or rehire one or more employees during this period? So in this example, no, but I could have, and that was something I did discuss in part 1 as well as I was going through frequently asked questions. You can rehire staff that didn't work during March 15th and April 11th and pay them retroactively, even if they didn't work, for the purpose of claiming wage subsidy. Because, and you might want to do that if someone is getting less on the CERB, then it would be more advantageous for you to pay them their wages and get wage subsidy. But if somebody's getting more on CERB, then you probably don't want to retroactively rehire them. So you have to answer yes or no to this question. And then line C is going to be the subsidy amount calculated, which is from the spreadsheet here. So my amount there is $13,415.40. Okay, good. So this line is about EI and QPIP. That's QPIP is in Quebec. So people of Quebec, if you're watching this, you're going to have to find a video from a Quebec accountant because I don't deal with QPIP and I'm not really exactly sure how that works. But in any province, in any of the other provinces, they're going to have EI on their paychecks. So what this is referring to, this is the box for EI, and then this is the box for CPP here. On salary paid to furloughed employees. So furloughed means they are on paid leave. So they are not working, but you are still paying their salary. And you can choose to do that. And if you do, then you get an additional refund of the EI and the CPP from the employer expense that you've paid. And so I can't show you an example because I'd have to show you a real pay stub to do it. But if you look on the pay stub, there will be an amount there that says EI employer or company EI. And then there'll be another line that says employer CPP or company CPP. And so what that is it's the company contribution of EI and CPP which is an expense to the company. And so if the employees are not working and you are paying them, then those amounts from their paychecks you can also enter here. But if all of your employees are working, maybe they're working part-time, then you don't get to claim that. And so in this example that I was going through, I was saying that these people are working, and in some cases they got paid the same or they got paid maybe less than before. But I was saying they are working, and so I am paying them payroll for their work. So you're going to put 0 in here if they are working. The only time you're going to put an amount in here is if they're on paid leave. Okay, this is good because I wanted to just mention quickly that the 10%, you can't put a 0 in this box. They're not, it says required, and what happens if I do this? 10% wage subsidy reduces the amount of income tax source deductions that you have to remit by up to 10% of the remuneration. If you did not reduce them, but you were entitled to it, the CRA will treat you as having over-remitted self-identification form, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna have a fun time reconciling all this at the end of the year when it comes to T4 season. So as long as we do it correctly now, it should be totally fine. And so what this is, the 10% wage subsidy is a different wage subsidy than the 75% one. And you can claim both. And CRA is expecting that if you are claiming the 75 one, that you've also claimed 10%. So they want you to reduce your, it's not like 10% plus 75 equals 85%. It's that 75% is the max subsidy that you can get. So they're going to expect that you've already taken that 10% amount, and they're going to remove it here from what you'll get in this larger subsidy amount. So something that people were asking about this was, well, what if I didn't take it in March already? Like I paid payroll in March, I didn't take the temporary 10% wage subsidy, and now actually it's already May 1st today, so you might have already done April. And April source deductions, which is the tax, CPP and EI on your payroll, on everybody's paychecks, that's called source deductions. That payment would be reduced by the 10% temporary wage subsidy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video about the 10% temporary wage subsidy, so go and watch that first and then maybe come back to this later. Because what it is it's like a discount on your source deductions. So instead of paying the full amount of source deductions, you reduce it by the 10% temporary wage subsidy. And you can roll it over into the next month. So if you didn't take it for March, and you should have, then now you could put it into the April amount and then take the April 10% temporary wage subsidy discount and take the March 10% temporary wage subsidy discount. Take both of those off of the amount that you're going to send in for April, and then you send a lot less. Oh, actually, I should mention, you can only take it off the income tax amount on that source deductions one, not CPP and EI. So you might actually be able to get the income tax down to 0. It's going to be a little tricky. They're going to have to reconcile this to T4s, I think, at the end of the year, because it's possible that people might not be able to get everything that they're entitled to, or maybe they'll just allow you to roll it forward into the next period indefinitely, like it'll probably get cut off at the end of the summer. So what we can do here is you'd have your second spreadsheet where you've calculated 10% temporary wage subsidy. So let's just see quickly. I didn't do an example of that for this video, but I have one that I was doing for other videos. Example, is this the temporary one? Nope, that's the emergency one. This was the template that I had used. So you might have done something else to calculate it. Yeah, so in this example, there was 6 different employees, and then there was the 10% wage subsidy, because it does get limited for each person as well. So let's use this example. So this was March month end, and the 10% wage subsidy is based on pay days. So paychecks issued in March is what I would use on this line here, because it's the amount eligible to be claimed, but we're talking about the period here of March 15th to April 11th. And so I think that this line has to be on a cash basis of what was actually paid in the source deductions in March. So what I would put here is just what you've calculated for, where'd it go? The March month end one. And it was only days after the 18th as well. So you're going to want to probably go and see this video. But let's say that was 34.30 that I had calculated on there. And then we'll just see what happens when I click next here. I think it's going to calculate for me. And amounts received by eligible employees under the work sharing benefit program, and enter 0 if not applicable. I don't think a lot of people are doing that, so I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but there will be other. I'm probably not going to do a video about work sharing because I don't think it benefits my clients, but I'm sure you'll be able to find out from someone else or more information if you're looking for that. But if you're not doing that, you just put 0. Okay. Yeah, so then what it does is it'll calculate, there is your total amount that you're going to get from your wage subsidy. And then you have to read these things. Okay, so this is different for me because I'm in representing a client right now, because it's saying I'm assisting the employer with filing this application, which I will do for clients who are my payroll clients. But I won't do it for anyone else because I can't guarantee that the amounts are correct if someone's been doing their own payroll and their own bookkeeping. I'm not willing to put my name on it, and you might find that your accountant is the same, or that you can't just hire someone to just do this part for you, because people are going to be a little bit uncomfortable with that level of risk. So I'm willing to do this for my clients that I process their payroll, but not for anyone else. So best case scenario is probably you get some help to complete the spreadsheet, and then you fill this in yourself. And so then you're the one who is the person who has the principal responsibility for the financial activities of the employer. So that's the shareholder, the person who makes the decisions for the business, who controls the business. In my case, for Decimal, that's me, but for you, it would be yourself or whoever is the partner that is in charge of that. Okay, so I just wanted to see if I go back. I think I've heard from other people that if you try to put 0 here, it won't let you under the 10% temporary wage subsidy. So let's say I'm doing this, I didn't claim March, and so I'm saying, oh, well, I want to put a 0 here because I never claimed March at the time. Oh, it will let me. That's interesting. I think they must have changed that, because I've heard other accountants were talking about how you couldn't claim 0. But okay, so even though it's going to let you, because not everybody is applicable for both programs, so that must be why, because some people would actually be in a scenario where their organization can get the 75% I've been doing this for too long today. The 75% wage subsidy, but they are not also eligible for the 10% one. Like, most businesses are going to be eligible for both, but there's a few scenarios where they're not. And so in that case, you'd put in 0. But if the reason that you're wanting to put 0 is just because you didn't claim it when you should have claimed it, then that's a bad reason. That's not a good idea to do it. So what you should do instead is go back, figure out what that amount is supposed to be, put it in here, and then you'll get less on this wage subsidy, but your your books will reconcile for the end of the year here. You need to make sure that you've got the periods correct. And so then what you could do, so let's say you didn't take March, is now when you're preparing your monthly source deductions payment for April, take that March amount, add it to the April amount of 10% subsidy, deduct both of those figures from your April source deductions, and then send in the payment. Because when T4s are issued at the end of the year, that will balance out. And so I would not put a 0 here unless you truly are not eligible for this temporary wage subsidy, because they're going to assume that anybody who is eligible is going to take this amount first, and that part of things is mandatory, which it's actually a good thing because you get to keep the cash quicker. When you pay your source deductions, it would be better for your cash flow to pay less source deductions today instead of having to wait for a rebate to come to you later. So I'm in favor of this temporary wage subsidy. It's a good thing. I think we're done. Okay, so that was the end of, let me log out there. Let me stop my screen sharing. So I don't, well, okay, I know my Zoom is still recording. I made the same mistake again. I tried to just stop the screen share and I forgot that what happened the first time. Here, I'm still on Zoom. What happened the first time was it stopped my Facebook Live video. But oh well, people who are watching on Facebook, that was the end of it anyways. And I just wanted to sign off here and say, if you got to the end of this, this is part 3 of a 3-part webinar. So remember, if all you watched was this part, which was how to fill in the application, go back and watch parts 1 and 2. So part 1 is a general overview, how to qualify, including calculating your revenue. Then part 2 is the filling in the CRA spreadsheet and calculating based on pay periods. And that one is particularly long, so forgive me for that, but it's just not that simple of a concept. So I wanted to make sure that I ran through a few examples, and I think we're done here. So I am Alicia Lowen. I'm the owner of Decimal Accounting. I hope you enjoyed this free webinar, and check out I have a YouTube channel. I have my Facebook page for Decimal Accounting. These videos are going to be too long to post to my Instagram. I have IGTV where I usually share these videos too, but they're going to be too long. So if you're looking for other resources, I also do tax tips every Tuesday. That's something I record live and then I share to all those platforms as well. So I have quite a few other topics as well if you're looking for some tax advice and other sorts of accounting advice for businesses. So have a great Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk soon.